Welcome, join us today as we embark on a journey through the life and untimely demise of Brian Jones, the founding force behind the Rolling Stones. Witness the highs and lows of his extraordinary career, from the electrifying rise of the iconic band, personal struggles that plagued his existence, to the mysterious circumstances of his passing. So let's dive in. Brian Jones, born Lewis Brian Hopkins Jones on the 28th of February 1942 in Cheltenham, Gloucestershire, in England. An attack of croup at the tender age of 4 left Jones with asthma, a condition that would persist throughout his lifetime. Born to parents Lewis Blount Jones and Louisa Beatrice Simmons, both with Welsh heritage, Brian grew up alongside two younger sisters, Pamela, who died of leukemia at 2 years old, and Barbara. Music coursed through the veins of the Jones household, with his father teaching piano alongside his aeronautical engineering job, while his mother led the church choir, showcasing her own musical talents on piano and organ. Brian's education journey led him through local schools, including Dean Close School and Cheltenham Grammar School for Boys, where his academic performance defied his lack of effort, earning him praise despite his disdain for the rigidity of school life. His rebellious spirit often clashed with authority, leading to suspensions, yet his brilliance shone through, earning him respect among his peers. From a young age, Jones showed a preference for blues over classical music, especially admiring Elmore James and Robert Johnson. His musical interests expanded when he discovered Cannonball Adderley's jazz in 1957. Persuading his parents to buy him a saxophone, he later received an acoustic guitar for his 17th birthday. Jones immersed himself in the local music scene, performing at clubs while busking and working odd jobs. Despite his talent, his rebellious streak led to dismissal after he was caught stealing to buy cigarettes. In 1958, Brian Jones welcomed his first child, whose sex remains unknown, with a female friend. The baby was later given up for adoption, their relation to Jones remaining undisclosed or unidentified publicly. Shortly after, in the summer of 1959, Jones's girlfriend Valerie Corbett gave birth to their son, Barry David, though she subsequently placed him for adoption. Jones, leading a bohemian lifestyle abroad, struggled financially, busking on streets and relying on others' charity until his return to England. In November 1959, Jones had a one-night stand with a married woman named Angeline, resulting in her pregnancy and the birth of their daughter, Belinda, in August 1960. Jones never knew about the pregnancy or her birth. Jones later applied for a scholarship to Cheltenham Art College, which was initially accepted but then revoked due to an unidentified written letter portraying him negatively. In 1961, his girlfriend Pat Andrews gave birth to his fourth child, Julian Mark Andrews, known as Mark, prompting Jones to move in with them and sell his record collection to support the family. Years later, in a TV interview, Pat Andrews revealed Jones's early financial struggles due to his dedication to music, leaving little for essentials after rent. Despite initial pride in their son Mark, Andrews stated Jones distanced himself as the Rolling Stones gained fame, following management instructions. Andrews received no financial support, noting Jones' growing interest in celebrity circles, leading to their eventual separation. She sympathized with Jones, seeing him as someone who often used others for his own benefit. Jones transitioned from Cheltenham to London, where he immersed himself in the city's rhythm, blues and jazz scene, forging friendships with notable musicians like Alexis Korner, Paul Jones, and Jack Bruce. Under the alias Elmo Lewis, Jones explored blues music, forming the band Roosters with Paul Jones, future Manfred Mann singer, before Eric Clapton would later assume his position as guitarist. In a pivotal moment, Jones placed an ad in the May 2, 1962 edition of Jazz News, beckoning musicians to audition for a new R&B group at the Bricklayers Arms pub. It was here that he crossed paths with pianist Ian Stewart, laying the foundation for what would become the Rolling Stones. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards would join the ranks, and the band's evolution mirrored Jones's influence, transitioning from resistance to Chuck Berry's sound, to wholehearted acceptance, with Jones even conceptualizing their iconic name, Rolling Stones, from a Muddy Waters song, Rollin' Stone Blues. Their debut gig at the Marquee Club in July 1962 marked a seismic moment in music history. From September 1962 to September 1963, Jones, alongside Richards, Jagger and James Felger, a photographer, shared a flat, immersing themselves in blues records and honing their craft. It was here Jones also taught Jagger how to play harmonica. Next, the Rolling Stones enlisted Bill Wyman as bassist for his spare guitar amplifier and supplies, before securing jazz-influenced drummer Charlie Watts in January 1963. Watts, renowned in London music circles, highlighted Jones's early influence in pushing the band's ambitions. However, tensions arose over Jones's higher pay and perceived leadership role as the band's business manager, leading to resentment among the members. Keith Richards and Mick Jagger expressed surprise at Jones's privileged position, given their understanding of others managing the band's affairs. In early 1963, Jones began a relationship with Linda Lawrence, resulting in the birth of his fifth child, Julian Brian Lawrence, on July 23, 1964. However, Lawrence later married folk pop singer Donovan, and they raised Julian together, renaming him Julian Leach. In October 1964, another of Jones's girlfriends, Dawn Malloy, announced her pregnancy to him and the Rolling Stones management. After receiving a settlement of £700 from new band manager Andrew Loog Oldham, Malloy agreed not to make any public statements about Jones or the child, named Paul Andrew, who she eventually placed for adoption, with his new parents renaming him John Maynard. Oldham prioritized original songwriting for the band, understanding its importance in sustaining their success, while also emphasizing Mick Jagger's stage presence. This shift marginalized Jones's influence as the band moved away from blues covers to focus on Jagger, Richards originals under Oldham's increased managerial control. Jones faced legal trouble for drug possession after the Redlands bust at Keith Richards' home in May 1967, where authorities found marijuana and harder drugs. Although he confessed to marijuana use, Jones denied using the other drugs. Charlie Watts noted Jones's excessive drinking and drug habits were taking a drastic toll on his mental and physical well-being, often leading to unpleasant behavior and strained relationships, upsetting others very easily. During a tour, Jones crossed paths with Italian-German model and actress Anita Pallenberg backstage, sparking a tumultuous relationship. However, their union was marred by Jones's escalating violence, culminating in a disturbing incident where he broke his hand on Pallenberg's face. In 1967, Pallenberg made a decisive break from Jones, finding solace with his bandmate Keith Richards, who witnessed Jones's abuse and offered her refuge. This turn of events further strained the already fraught relationships among the bandmates, adding another layer of tension to their dynamic. Jones had relationships with models Suki Potier, Anna Wallen, and briefly with Donielle Luna. Wallen, living with Jones at the time of his death, wrote about their relationship. In his last year, Jones expressed regret for not being present for his children and desired to become a better father. He wanted his sons Mark and Julian to live with him in a house he purchased. Jones's youngest and last child, Barbara Anna Marion, would be born in 1969 to Elizabeth, an American woman. Jones's involvement with the Stones diminished by 1968, with his final significant sessions during Jumping Jack Flash and the Beggar's Banquet album. His last lead guitar part was on No Expectations, playing slide guitar alongside Keith Richards. Despite appearing in the Jean-Luc Godard film 1+1, Jones was sidelined in music making. He played minor roles on a few tracks, and his last formal appearance was in the December 1968 The Rolling Stones' Rock and Roll Circus. The film remained unreleased for over 25 years, with Mick Jagger dissatisfied with the band's performance. Observers, including Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend of The Who, had sensed it could be Jones's final live musical performance with the Stones. Jones faced a second arrest on May 21, 1968, for cannabis possession, risking a lengthy jail term due to his probation. Despite a guilty verdict, the sympathetic judge imposed a fine and warned him to avoid trouble. Legal issues, strained relationships with bandmates, substance abuse, and erratic behavior hindered Jones's involvement in the Rolling Stones. By 1969, he struggled to contribute musically, facing problems acquiring a U.S. work visa and missing rehearsals. Despite making some contributions to recordings, his role diminished, leading to his eventual dismissal from the band in June 1969. Jones publicly announced his departure on June 9, citing disagreements over their music. He was replaced by Mick Taylor, and during this period, Jones lived at Cotchford Farm, showing interest in forming a new band before his untimely death. Jones's other contributions and collaborations include recording the Master Musicians of Jujuka in 1968, resulting in Brian Jones Presents the Pipes of Pan at Jujuka, released in 1971 and reissued in collaboration with Bachir Attar and Philip Glass in 1995. He also contributed alto saxophone to the Beatles' You Know My Name Look Up the Number, in 1967, released after his death. Additionally, Jones played percussion on Jimi Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower. Known for his versatility, he demonstrated mastery across various instruments, notably showcased on albums like Aftermath in 1966, Between the Buttons in 1967, and Their Satanic Majesty's Request in 1967. Jones favored a Vox electric guitar but excelled with guitars from Rickenbacker, Gibson, and Fender, including slide guitar in open E and open G tunings. Keith Richards attributes their collaborative guitar style to influences from Jimmy Reed albums, aiming to replicate the teamwork evident in Reed's recordings. In the early hours of July 3, 1969, Jones was found unconscious at the bottom of his swimming pool at Cotchford Farm. Despite efforts to revive him, including his girlfriend Anna Wallen's belief that he still had a pulse, Jones was pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. The coroner's report attributed his death to drowning, labeled as death by misadventure, citing an enlarged liver and heart due to previous substance abuse. Jones was 27 years old at the time of his passing. Following Jones's death on July 3, 1969, the Rolling Stones dedicated their Hyde Park concert 2 days later to his memory, with Mick Jagger reading poetry and releasing white butterflies as a tribute. Jones was buried in Cheltenham Cemetery, with precautions against disturbance by burying him 10 feet deep to prevent trophy hunters. Only Charlie Watts and Bill Wyman attended the funeral, as Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull were traveling to Australia to begin filming movie Ned Kelly. Reflecting on Jones's death, Jagger expressed regret for not understanding his struggles with addiction, while Wyman advocated for his exoneration, emphasizing Jones's legacy. The circumstances surrounding Jones's death spurred theories of murder, with claims emerging from associates of the Stones suggesting foul play. Rock biographer Philip Norman noted the recurring speculation, stating that the murder theory resurfaced every few years. In 1993, reports circulated alleging that builder Frank Thorogood, who was working on the property and was the last to see Jones alive, confessed to the murder. This theory was later denied and dramatized in the 2005 film, Stoned. It's claimed that Thorogood killed Jones during a dispute over another £6,000 payment owing for construction work at Cotchford Farm. Other allegations suggest that senior police officers covered up the killing after realizing the mishandling of the initial investigation into Jones's death. In 2009, Sussex police initiated a case review prompted by new evidence, but in 2010, they decided against reopening the case, maintaining the original verdict of death by misadventure. Jones's children, John and Barbara, believe their father was murdered, a perspective further explored in the 2019 documentary, Rolling Stone: Life and Death of Brian Jones. And there you have it. From his innovative musical contributions to his untimely demise, Jones's story offers a poignant reminder of the highs and lows of rock and roll stardom. Though his time with us was brief, Brian Jones's impact on music and culture endures, forever woven into the fabric of rock history. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content just like this. Take care and bye for now.